Welcome if you are divorced or separated dad. Thanks for watching this short video. I'm going to show you a way through the pain and confusion that you might be feeling right now, and I'm literally living proof that you can get through it. If you're still struggling after your separation or divorce with feelings of betrayal or resentment or anger, these are all valid, right? All those feelings are completely valid. If you're still feeling lost, confused, or you're missing seeing your kids every day, that was the thing that really broke my heart. I couldn't see my child, my 3-year-old daughter, every day, which is what I was used to. And if you're still trying to numb all those painful feelings with eating, drinking, or dating, maybe, or even if you're working out, meditating, or practicing mindfulness, they're all good things, right? But they're all delay tactics. Those things in themselves are not going to heal you and get you to move on. Over 25 years ago, I actually got through the painful feelings of my divorce in just a few months. I took 4 empowering steps and went on to have a much brighter future, and you can too. So let's get into it. By the end of this video, I will have explained those 4 empowering steps to help you get from where you are right now to where you actually want to be. These 4 steps are what enabled me to move on, and it even got me to a place where my ex was working for me again within 6 months of her cheating on me and leaving with my 3-year-old daughter. Literally, was walking out the door with her in her arms. And I haven't seen anybody teaching this method of rapidly moving on from betrayal and divorce. And at the end of this video, I'm going to take you through the very first step to getting there. So stick with it till the end, please, because it's a really powerful exercise. It's really going to help. So before we do any of that, if you can just turn off all of your distractions, your phones, your email, your things that are going to blip in and out, and just make sure you can watch this for the next, 20 minutes or so without being interrupted. And I would advise you to grab a pen and a notepad, because you might want to take some notes as we go through. So pause the video and then come back when you've done that. I'm going to presume you have. And let me tell you, these 4 steps haven't just worked for me. That's me and my little family there. They've also worked for other dads out there. For instance, Andre from South Africa. When we first met, he felt crushed and angry, resentful after his wife left. And we went through these 4 steps. I'm going to show you right here. And in 30 days, this is actually what he said. When I was first approached by Stuart, I was a mess. I was insecure and hated myself. I was not promised a quick fix, but I was promised a simple solution. I dug into feelings and cleared my soul of much more than just the pain of my separation. With the guidance of the program, I became the beginning of the man and father I want to become. So I've got to say, Andre really did put an awful lot of effort into moving himself forwards. And so he really should take all of the credence for that. So let me ask you, do you want to wait another year, another 2 years, another 5 years to see if time really is the thing that's going to heal you? And while you're waiting, what effect is your unhappiness having on your kids? I mean, they're perceptive, right? We think we might be hiding it, but they kind of see this kind of stuff. And therapy, counseling, or coaching, they can be helpful if you get the right therapist or counselor. The difference actually between them is that counseling tries to determine the nature of a problem and suggests like a diagnosis. Therapy tries to kind of get to the bottom of our deepest emotions, which usually takes quite a long time. And coaching is forward-looking, solutions-based, but it doesn't actually try to offer any advice. It always tries to get the client to come up with the solutions. But personally speaking, the best approach for rapidly moving on is a mixture of coaching and counseling. So imagine if someone came to you and they had a limp, but you noticed they had a great big stone in their shoe. You wouldn't try and cleverly get them to notice it too, or ask them a bunch of questions to figure out how the stone got into their shoe. You'd just say, you've got a stone in your shoe. Take the stone out and you'll stop limping. I mean, it stands to reason, right? Anyway, whichever route you take to shortcut in your pain, it does take an amount of work. You don't get physically fit sitting on the couch eating donuts, right? It takes committed work over a period of time. And a coach will speed up that process. We all know that. If you want to learn a new skill, for instance, it takes committed work over a period of time. It took me 6 years to get my black belt. But I had an instructor helping me every step of the way. And moving on quickly after a divorce is just the same. It takes committed work over a period of time. But that time, it can be weeks instead of years if you're prepared to put the work in. And if you have someone to guide you and help you. The question is, are you actually ready to move on? So let's get on to the 4 steps and how I reduced my own healing time from potentially years to just a few months. They're going to sound like simple steps, but that doesn't mean they're easy. But it is the same process that I went through to move on back then, 25 years ago. And I've already had other dads go through this process and get fantastic results. So it can definitely work for you too. And I'm going to ask, what are they? I'm going to show you in a second, but let me save you a few minutes of your valuable time, potentially. Just stop watching right now. If you think your divorce is all your ex's fault, you had a part to play. If you think that, then just stop. If you think you're too busy right now to commit to moving on right now, if you are convinced that this just can't work for you, in your particular situation, or if you think just giving it time is the best way to go, if you think any of those things or all of them, then I've got to be honest, I don't think I can help you at the moment. So if you're still here, then this is who I am. I'm a dad just like you. This is my daughter, various stages of her growing up life. And she made that for me one Father's Day, and it just goes to show you how close we are, and she really is, you know, the light of my life. Basically, my ex decided that she wanted to be with someone else all those years ago, and she just picked her up and left. For a while, it crushed me. I'll be honest. I was a complete and total mess. I was moaning and blaming her for everything, to my family, friends, to my boss at the time, anyone that listened, really. And but that was over 25 years ago, and now my daughter is grown up with 2 daughters of her own. And thanks to this process, I'm going to show you we're about as close as a father and daughter can possibly be, in my opinion. You don't actually need to go through years of heartache. You just need a clear picture of what you want your life to look like instead. Once you have that, the process is actually what's going to get you there. And if any part of you feels like you're guilty or like you failed, listen, this isn't your fault. Of course, you had your part to play. We all did. I had a part to play in mine. Everyone does. They're fooling themselves if they don't think that they did. But these days, the expectations on us having the perfect marriage are insane. Maybe your parents had the model marriage. Mine kind of did. But nobody taught you how to have a perfect marriage, right? We just learned it by watching other people. But we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And there's huge pressure on us being perfect in every way. We see it everywhere. And it kind of raises the expectation of what a husband should be. And the truth is that probably you and your ex were just incompatible. So let's get on to the ABCD process. That's really going to give you the emotional freedom and the brighter future that for you and your kids that you really, really want, because you want to get out of the pain. So if you're ready, let's start. These are the 4 empowering steps. I said that they would sound simple, right? Accepting. This isn't about just, intellectually accepting. You've got to emotionally accept. You've got to feel it. And we're going to get into that in a second. Next step is believing. You've got to believe in yourself again. You've got to believe that you've got a brighter future, and you've got to believe that you can attain that brighter future. Then we got into the 3rd step, rather, is choosing. Choosing. We've got a million choices in front of us. We can go in any direction we want. We've got to choose a direction to go in. And there's a process for actually doing that and making sure that it's most likely to be the right choice. And then finally, once you've made the choice, you've got to decide, which means committing to doing it, which is different. And we'll get into that, as I said. So let's get on to the first one, which is acceptance. I'm not talking about just living with the situation as you are in right now, or just bearing up despite how you're feeling. I'm not even talking about forgiveness at this stage. That definitely comes later. It did for me. I had to accept where I was, and then I found myself forgiving her eventually. So that's a process. And acceptance requires a level of understanding and insight that you probably don't realize that you have right at the moment, right? I'm talking about accepting what has happened, accepting where you are right now, finding constructive ways to understand how what happened. Then once you have that straight in your mind, you can move on to feeling it in your heart, because that's actually where the true acceptance is, when you feel it, like we've said already. I can usually tell from the way a dad speaks whether he's actually reached acceptance or not. Grief after divorce is similar to grief after loss. This is well established. And it's a roller coaster ride of emotions, and you can bounce back and forth all over the place, but you don't actually start healing from either of these kinds of grief until you reach acceptance. But understanding this Kubler-Ross cycle, understanding what stage you're at, will actually help you deal with the emotions that you're feeling. This took me ages to accomplish when I was in the pain. You know, what I thought was ages, it was a few months. But looking back, I've had a long time to study all things psychology because I love the way the mind works. And now I've put the exact steps together of what I did so that I can help other dads get to this place far more rapidly. And you might not realize at the moment, you have all the answers. And all I and the program does is just help you see them. It just literally just shines a light on stuff. If you want to move on and begin the real healing that you need to do, then acceptance is absolutely where you have to start. That leads on to belief. And some beliefs that we have don't actually help us. Your beliefs come from your family upbringing, your family values, cultural norms, your peers, friends, colleagues. If you get this, and you'll understand how you and everyone forms beliefs. And using a simple exercise called the seed of doubt, you'll see that believing something doesn't necessarily mean it has to be true. Once you start to uncover it and pick it apart, you can often find that what you believe has got no evidence. So if you've ever had thoughts like, well, my divorce is going to leave me broke, well, because I'd seen it had left other people broke, but mine didn't. If you've had thoughts, I don't have any say in the situation. I certainly felt that way myself back then. But you know what? I went through these 4 steps and then I felt like an equal parent throughout the whole process, right up until she was a grown-up. And if you've ever thought you'll never find love again, well, I did more than once. And now I'm happily remarried. So the Cambridge Dictionary definition of the word belief equals the feeling of being certain that something exists or is true. But some of your beliefs and mine might be holding us back, might be holding you back, might be keeping you stuck, might be sabotaging you. But how do you identify which ones? Again, there's a process for that. So beliefs come in 2 types. There's the perception beliefs, which are how we experience the world. An event happens, and then we create a belief about something because of that. And then the other type is the desire, how we want to experience it. So let's say, for instance, we know somebody that's just got just total belief in themselves, even though you think, well, they're not even qualified. They don't know what they're doing, but they've got total belief in themselves because that's their desire. They want that. Well, you can create that in yourself too. And we pass both types of these beliefs through what we call our filter of meaning. And the meanings we give events have a powerful influence on what we believe and therefore what we end up feeling. You're feeling right now, right? You've got emotions right now. That's coming from some beliefs that you have. If we want to change what we believe, we must understand how we generate those meanings. And there's a handful of powerful exercises in each and every module I guide the dads through. Once you've completed this step, you'll know how to trust yourself again. And that gives you the ability to trust others. You can't go into another relationship unless you can trust that person properly, authentically, honestly. And you'll have increased confidence in yourself too, and a rock solid self-esteem. That'll be the fuel driving you forwards to what you really want. Believing things can be different inspires us, whereas believing we're stuck with where we are and what we have, that just paralyzes us. You have to learn the lessons from the experience you're going through, obviously. Otherwise, you could just slip and fall again. Now, I mentioned pride at the beginning, and pride is a common lesson to be learned, and it's like a double-sided coin. A lot of guys, they have their pride hurt because they might believe that they weren't a good enough man to hold on to their wife, or they're failing as a dad because their family is fractured, or maybe they think their kids don't look up to them anymore in the same way, just simply because they're not in the same household or something like that. They can even allow those hurt feelings and that hurt pride to stop them doing what's necessary because it hurts so much. You know, like picking up the phone to say sorry, but your pride gets in the way. But you can regain pride in yourself in all these areas by believing that you will do whatever it takes to create a future where you can thrive in all areas of your life, then deciding to make it happen. That type of pride is good. I mean, wanting your kids to be proud of you, that's got to be a good thing. There's no sin in that, right? Learning how to change your negative beliefs is critical to achieving the future you want and being proud of who you are. And that leads on to step 3, which is choosing, because the single most important element that influences our life and our future are the choices that we make. So choosing starts with where you are right now. You can't plot a route to a destination if you don't know where you're starting from, right? You kind of need a map. There are ways to make empowering choices. Don't really have time to go into here because I'm trying to keep this to quite a short video. But once you've experienced them, you'll use them in every area of your life, from buying a car or a house to even choosing that new relationship. So when you focus on your present circumstances, the pain, you actually reduce your vision, a bit like horses with blinkers on, hence the picture. But by taking the blinkers off, we can actually choose a new view. We can choose where to focus. So we could be grateful, for instance, about what we do have rather than what we've lost, like missing your children every single day, which is what I dwelled on for ages. And when we're grateful for a roof over our heads or food in the fridge, etc., it literally enables us to see the bigger picture. When we switch our focus and we look outside of ourselves, we notice more opportunities, and we can therefore take advantage of them. If you don't notice it, you can't act on it. And one of those ways is to ask, is asking better questions. So something like, what should I do to attract the right person? Might be a good question going forwards once you've healed and you know that you're ready for that new relationship. Or how will I become the role model my kids will look up to and be proud of? These what and how questions get your mind to go searching for ways that you can behave and think that is going to generate that outcome for you, instead of why questions. Another good question to ask might be, what do I need to let go of? And if you're experiencing a difficult situation, ask, what else could this mean? If somebody says something that hurts you or something like that, you can ask, what else could it mean? What could be going on in their life that they said that? It might not be to do with me at all. So just figuring out these meanings is really key. And the process of asking better questions will enable you to be laser focused on your future and what the first steps might be to get in there. And there's an art to making choices. Limit the amount of options you have. Right? That sounds unintuitive, but if you have, literally, if you can boil it down to this or that, just two options, you are far more likely to be able to choose an option that you can, proceed with. So I will take you through, if you join the program, an exercise called the choice checker. And that will actually make your choices in the future way easier and way quicker, and you'll be far more confident that it's the right choice for you because you'd have gone through this particular process. So once you made your choice, you have to go to step 4, which is deciding. And this is where the rubber meets the road, which was what we said. We often think that choices and decisions are actually two words for the same thing, but they aren't. Choosing expresses a preference. Decide, the word decide, actually means to cut off. So deciding expresses a commitment to a course of action, and like no other action. Deciding is an important but separate process to choosing. It's the signal that you're taking action and fully committed to the path you've chosen. That's when you know you've decided, you're actually doing stuff. And it's not about the willpower, right? You think willpower is going to get you through. It won't. It'll let you down every single time. You need something 10 times more powerful than willpower. What you need is unwavering commitment and determination. That comes from the reasons that you give for deciding what path to take, right? And committing is a strong word, but you can't just decide to commit without having a bunch of really, really powerful reasons. So having a clearly defined purpose is probably the best leverage to get on yourself. And finding what makes you excited in life. That's the thing that's going to put fire in your belly. A good question to ask is this decision moving me towards or away from what I want? Whenever you're stuck with a decision, just ask yourself that. And also, like imagine you've been trying to lose weight for a while. Then you're offered a fantastic job, but you have to be 20 pounds lighter. You think that will make you determined to lose that weight? Of course it will. That's leverage. And that's what will keep you moving towards your dream. This is what Jeremy said about the process, and he'd only been through step 1 at this point. When I first met Stuart, I was doing all right for the most part, but there were some things that I still had a hard time understanding or dealing with, and Stuart helped me realize some of those things that just didn't click before, like how I was disappointed in myself because I was basing my success off of my ex's expectations, but I need to live up to my own expectations, not my ex's. He changed his belief, was doing a coaching call, which is part of the module, and he literally had an aha moment right there. And so Chris, he did a simple exercise, which like helped him to envision a way that he could be, so that he could deserve the future that he wanted, and that he was worthy of it. He said, "You did exactly what I expected of you yesterday evening." Again, we were on a coaching call. I stayed up till midnight writing, which was an exercise he was doing, listing the qualities and character traits that I possess and what I believe my future partner will have to complement me. I felt like I had electricity running through my veins again. This is super powerful stuff, these exercises. This is simple. It's not easy to do it. You've got to do some reflection, but wow, it can spark you. You really put me back on track, not just being able to believe myself again, but also believing that I'll begin to have what I want in my life, believing that I do have the commitment to complete my course, and believing that I trust and respect myself, that I'm open to all that is good, that is coming my way. He used believe or believing like 3 or 4 times there, and the word trust, we talked about that earlier, about how you can trust yourself again. So at the beginning of this video, I promised to help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be. And that I would take you through the first step to getting there. And this first step will become your leverage. So you can pause the video here or just take a quick screenshot of that. This is the perfect day exercise. That's part of it. And that's the second part. Again, you can pause or take a screenshot of that. And what it does, that's just like a guide of how you can do this particular exercise, about what your future could look like, how you want it to look like, hour by hour, detail by detail. So read that in your own time. It should take you about an hour to do that. So right now, you have 2 options to weigh up. Simple options, right? Option 1, carry on trying to get through this on your own and hope you find a way through, which you could do, right? I mean, that's possible. I don't know what you've tried so far. I don't know how much longer you wanted to do it for, right? And if you're struggling with it, it's not your fault, because they don't teach this at school. So how would you know? How would anyone, unless they learn it for themselves or somebody shows them? So that's option 1. Option 2 is book an exploration call with me, where I'll explain how this can help you. And I promise I won't try and sell you anything. I honestly won't. If by the end of the call, we both think it's a good fit, I'll let you know how to get involved to shortcut your journey. And then you just decide. That's it. You make the decision in the end. There's no pressure at all. So imagine in just a few short weeks, just like Andre, you could go from confused, angry, and resentful to really clear what you want your life to look like in the future. And you started creating a roadmap of how to actually make it a reality, a map of how you're going to get to where you want to go. I mean, wow, how powerful would that be? So to book a call, simply click the link below. You'll find it on this page somewhere, and it will take you to my calendar where you can choose a time that suits you. And at the risk of sounding like I'm trying to influence you, which I really am not, I do only have a handful of clients each time I release this, because it takes quite a lot of my time to do the coaching calls. But if you're seeing this video, then there's still some spaces up for grabs. Book that half-hour call. I'll send you something called a calibration survey, which will actually help you with your perfect day exercise. And then on the call, I'll see if I can answer any of your questions, and maybe I can help you further in some way. And we'll just go from there. You just need to start moving in the right direction and build some momentum. And momentum requires that movement, right? You could push a car or get a car going, and then it's easier to get it going faster. And that's what I want to help you with, right? If I can, give you some momentum. So book the call and let's see if we can get you moving. That's it. Thank you. Bye.